Christopher Plummer, best known for his role as Captain Von Trapp in the Oscar-winning musical. The Sound of Music has sadly died at his home in Connecticut at the age of 91. You're only 2 years older than me. Darling, where have you been all my life? And last thing, what is this? Just the idea that we could get this kind of crowd. It's amazing. I know, not the honest George. I think about it. I'm the lucky girl that was asked to do all these wonderful things, and so how could I be anything but positive? Christopher Plummer and Julie Andrews are well known as the stars of the movie The Sound of Music. Released on March 2nd, 1965, this legendary musical and its actors won multiple Academy Awards and Golden Globe Awards. The movie reached #1 at the box office and held the record for the highest-grossing film for 5 years, surpassing Gone with the Wind. Depicting the story of the Von Trapp family, there was a complicated harmony between Christopher Plummer and Julie Andrews. While their on-screen chemistry captivated audiences, Plummer's off-screen feelings towards Julie were far from affectionate. In a shocking revelation, Plummer admits why he couldn't stand Julie Andrews. What could be the reason for his dislike? Join us in this video as we explore Julie and Plummer's relationship and uncover why he couldn't stand her. But before we dive in, let us explore their lives and the story behind The Sound of Music. The iconic Sound of Music. The Sound of Music is a 1965 American musical drama film produced and directed by Robert Wise, with a screenplay by Ernest Lehman. It stars Julie Andrews and Christopher Plummer, along with Richard Hayden, Peggy Wood, Charmian Carr, and Eleanor Parker. The film is an adaptation of the 1959 stage musical, composed by Richard Rodgers, with lyrics by Oscar Hammerstein II, and a book by Lindsay and Krauss. It is based on the 1949 memoir, The Story of the Trapp Family Singers, by Maria von Trapp, and is set in Salzburg, Austria. The story is a fictional retelling of her experiences as governess to 7 children, her eventual marriage to their father, Captain Georg von Trapp, and their escape during the Anschluss in 1938. The film took place from March to September 1964 in Los Angeles and Salzburg. The Sound of Music was released on March 2nd, 1965 in the United States, initially as a limited roadshow theatrical release. The initial critical response to the film was mixed, but it became a major commercial success, reaching the #1 spot at the box office after 4 weeks and becoming the highest-grossing film of 1965. By November 1966, The Sound of Music had surpassed Gone with the Wind to become the highest-grossing film of all time, a title it held for 5 years. The film was popular worldwide, breaking box office records in 29 countries. Its initial theatrical release lasted 4.5 years, followed by 2 successful re-releases. The film sold 283 million admissions worldwide and earned a total worldwide gross of $286 million. The Sound of Music received 5 Academy Awards, including Best Picture and Best Director. The film also won Golden Globe Awards for Best Motion Picture and Best Actress, the Directors Guild of America Award for Outstanding Directorial Achievement, and the Writers Guild of America Award for Best Written American Musical. In 1998, the American Film Institute AFI listed The Sound of Music as the 55th greatest American film of all time and the 4th greatest film musical. In 2001, the United States Library of Congress selected the film for preservation in the National Film Registry. recognizing it as culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. The story of The Sound of Music is captivating, blending themes of family romance and historical elements. However, not everything shown in the film reflects reality. What aspects of the film are true, and which are fictional? And what did Christopher Plummer reveal as the reason he couldn't stand Julie Andrews? Keep watching to find out The Sound of Music's tale. In the movie, Maria is a nun in training played by Julie Andrews. She falls in love with Captain Von Trapp, a widower, while working as a nanny for his children. Their relationship blossoms into a happy marriage and family. However, the real-life story was different. Maria revealed in her memoir that she was never madly in love with the captain. She liked him, but did not love him initially. She married him because she loved the children so much. Eventually, she fell in love with him and said she never loved anyone before or after him. In the film, the oldest Von Trapp child, Liesel, falls in love with a German soldier who tries to expose her family. In reality, the oldest child was a boy named Rupert. The writers invented Liesel to add more depth to the story. When The Sound of Music was released, Rupert was 54, living in Vermont and working as a doctor. He often told his patients he was the real-life Liesel, but most did not believe him. Christopher Plummer played Captain Von Trapp in the film, and Charmian Carr played his daughter Liesel. Allegedly, the two had an off-screen romance, despite a 13-year age difference, and Plummer being married. This rumored relationship attracted much attention from fans and the media, but they were never seen being affectionate in public. Julie Andrews and the actors who played the children appeared on the Oprah Winfrey Show, where Charmian Carr addressed the rumors. She admitted to having a crush on Plummer, admired his perfection, and praised his British accent, but denied any physical relationship. There was a lot of singing and dancing in The Sound of Music, but not everyone could dance. Charmian Carr, a fan favorite who appeared graceful and beautiful on screen, wasn't actually a dancer. She had very basic dancing skills and nearly broke her ankle during the 16-going-on-17 dance scene. In early versions of the film, you can see a bandage on her leg, but it was removed in the 2005 remake. When asked about the injury, Carr explained the situation, but many people found it hard to believe she got injured during such a simple dance routine. The family's trip to the United States was also different in real life. Both in the film and in reality, the family were World War II refugees. In the movie, they fled their home in Austria, traveled on foot through the Alps to reach Switzerland, and then moved to the United States, where they performed as a traveling singing group. However, according to the real Maria Von Trapp, the journey was quite different. The family didn't climb mountains with their suitcases and instruments. Instead, they took a train and traveled to Italy, not Switzerland. They went to Italy because Georg von Trapp was born in Zadar, a city that became part of Italy in 1920, making him an Italian citizen, as well as his wife and children. As the lines blur between reality and fiction in Sound of Music, let us now turn to the real-life inspiration behind the tale. Who is Maria? And what secrets does her story hold? Let's find out. The tale of Maria Von Trapp. The Sound of Music was based on Maria Von Trapp's memoir, The Story of the Von Trapp Family Singers. Despite this, she wasn't allowed to attend the film's premiere. Maria, who even appeared as an extra with her daughter Rose. Marie was invited to the premiere of Rodgers and Hammerstein's Broadway musical, but didn't receive an invitation to the film's premiere. Producers told her there weren't enough seats, because they were reserved for celebrities, effectively shunning her. Without Maria, there wouldn't have been a movie, and it was wrong of the producers not to reserve a seat for her. The film portrays Maria as an angel who saved the children from their strict military life under the German regime. Captain von Trapp is depicted as a stern man who whistled to call his children, and they lined up at attention. Maria's arrival changed things, transforming the family dynamic. However, in real life, Maria was the head of the household, managing finances and other family matters. Georg was not strict. He was a gentle, loving man who supported his wife and enjoyed spending time with his family and playing music. While making Georg strict helped the film's storyline, this fictional portrayal upset the real-life family. The real Maria's life was far more intriguing than the movie depiction. Born in Vienna, she was orphaned as a child and placed with her violent uncle, who tried to impose his atheist beliefs on her. During a Sunday service at a Catholic church, which she initially thought was a Bach concert, Maria felt drawn to religion. Despite her uncle's insistence that Bible stories were mere legends, the priest's words captivated her, leading her to embrace faith. After graduating from college, Maria entered the Benedictine Abbey of Nuremberg in Salzburg. Maria's life changed forever when Georg von Trapp sought a governess for one of his daughters at the convent. Chosen for her education and teaching skills, Maria had no idea that leaving the convent to work for the von Trapp family would transform her life. Unlike the 7 children depicted in the film, the real von Trapp family had 10 children. Though Maria wasn't initially responsible for all of them, she grew attached to each one. After a challenging early life, she found a true family and a place where she belonged. In the movie, Georg and Maria fall in love quickly, but this is not the case in real life. When they first met, Maria wasn't attracted to Georg and felt love only for the children. Georg proposed to Maria, asking her to marry him and become the stepmother to his children, which led to a gradual development of love between them. Maria von Trapp revealed that if Georg had proposed marriage without mentioning his children, she would have declined. Initially unsure about marriage, Maria was persuaded by the nuns who convinced her it was God's will. The real-life couple married in 1927. In the movie, Maria is depicted as helping the children discover their musical talent and channel their energy into music. In reality, the von Trapp children were already skilled singers and musicians when Maria arrived, but they viewed it as just a hobby. Georg von Trapp initially did not want his children to pursue music professionally or perform on stage, despite his belief that singing for others was God's will. He wasn't opposed to performing itself, but wanted to support his children in other ways. Georg changed his stance on his family performing after they won first place at the Salzburg Music Festival in 1936. When Georg and Maria von Trapp married in the 1930s, the Great Depression severely impacted their finances, leading to significant financial struggles. To ease the family's financial burden, Maria took several measures. She dismissed the household servants, rented out rooms to lodgers, and implemented stricter financial controls. She also transformed their singing hobby into a source of income. As the von Trapp family gained fame, the German government wanted them to stay in Austria to promote propaganda. Georg was offered the opportunity to rejoin the Navy, and his son Rupert was offered a job as a doctor. Despite these tempting offers, Georg chose to leave Austria with his family to avoid worsening conditions. In contrast to the film's depiction of the family crossing the Alps on foot, the real von Trapps took a train to escape Austria and eventually settled in the United States. Initially, they were granted 6-month visas but returned to Europe. When these expired, going on a Scandinavian tour to avoid German territories. Upon their return to the U.S., they were briefly detained on Ellis Island due to an issue with their immigration status. Maria had inadvertently suggested they wanted to stay indefinitely. But after a few days, the situation was resolved, and the family was allowed to enter the U.S. and continue their tour. Initially, before the final casting decisions were made, several actors were considered for the lead roles. What initial casting options were explored before the final choices were made? Let's find out. Actors initially considered for roles in The Sound of Music. Richard Dreyfuss, known for his breakthrough role in Jaws in 1975, was initially considered for a role in The Sound of Music. He auditioned for the part of Frederick, one of the Von Trapp children, and impressed the casting director with his acting skills. However, his inability to dance ultimately disqualified him from the role, which went to Nicholas Hammond. Several well-known actors were considered for the lead roles in the film. Doris Day, at the height of her fame in the 1950s and 60s, was a candidate for Maria along with Audrey Hepburn, Shirley Jones, Leslie Caron, and Anne Bancroft. For the role of Captain Von Trapp, Yul Brynner and Sean Connery were among those considered. Despite initial plans to cast Doris Day and Sean Connery, the roles ultimately went to Julie Andrews and Christopher Plummer. Today, it's hard to imagine anyone else in these iconic roles. Christopher Plummer's performance in The Sound of Music was highly professional, but he struggled with alcohol throughout the production. Despite being around children on set, Plummer admitted to being drunk much of the time, particularly during the filming of the music festival scene. He often took Charmian Carr, who played Liesel, out for drinks at Austrian bars, despite their 13-year age difference. During an interview with Oprah, Winfrey Carr revealed that she learned to drink from Plummer. His alcohol issues led to weight gain, causing problems with his costumes, which eventually became too small for him. Now, let's delve into the life and career of Christopher Plummer. Christopher Plummer. Life and career. Arthur. Christopher or me. Plummer was born in Toronto, Ontario on December 13, 1929. He was the only child of John Orme Plummer, a seller of stocks and securities, and Isabella Mary Abbott, who worked as a secretary to the Dean of Sciences at McGill University, and was the granddaughter of Canadian Prime Minister Sir John Abbott. On his father's side, Plummer's great-uncle was patent lawyer and Agent F. B. Featherstonehoff. He was also a cousin of Canadian classical pianist Janina Fialkowska, and a second cousin of British actor Nigel Bruce, known for playing Dr. Watson in Basil Rathbones. Sherlock Holmes. Plummer's parents separated shortly after his birth, and he was mainly raised by his mother in the Abbott family home in Centerville, Quebec, on the western tip of the island of Montreal. He was fluent in both English and French. As a schoolboy, he initially studied to be a concert pianist, but developed a love for theater early on and began acting while attending the High School of Montreal. After watching Laurence Olivier's film Henry Favel in 1944, he was inspired to pursue acting. He learned the basics of acting as an apprentice with the Montreal Repertory Theatre, where fellow Montrealer William Shatner also performed. Plummer never attended university, something he regretted throughout his life. Despite his mother and father's family having ties with McGill University, he was never a student there. In 1946, he caught the attention of the Montreal Gazette's theater critic, Herbert Whittaker, with his performance as Mr. Darcy in a Montreal high school production of Pride and Prejudice. Whitaker, who was also an amateur stage director of the Montreal Repertory Theatre cast Plummer at age 18, as Oedipus in Jean Cocteau's La Machine Infernal. His career spanned 7 decades, earning him acclaim in film, stage, and television. His awards included an Academy Award, 2 Tony Awards, and 2 Primetime Emmy Awards, making him the only Canadian to achieve the Triple Crown of acting. He also received a BAFTA Award, a Golden Globe Award, a Screen Actors Guild Award, and a Grammy Award nomination. Plummer made his Broadway debut in the 1954 play The Star-Crossed Story. He won 2 Tony Awards, one for Best Actor in a Musical for playing Cyrano de Bergerac in Cyrano in 1974, and the other for Best Actor in a play for portraying John Barrymore in 1997. His other Tony-nominated roles include J.B. in 1959, Othello in 1982, No Man's Land in 1994, King Lear in 2004, and Inherit the Wind in 2007. Plummer made his film debut in Stage Struck in 1958, and landed his first starring role that same year in Wind Across the Everglades. He became widely known for his role as Captain Georg von Trapp in the musical film The Sound of Music in 1965, alongside Julie Andrews. During this time, he also starred in The Fall of the Roman Empire in 1964, Waterloo in 1970, and The Man Who Would Be King in 1975. Plummer won an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor for Beginners in 2011, and was nominated for the same award for his roles in The Last Station in 2009, and All the Money in the World in 2017. His other notable films include The Return of the Pink Panther in 1975, Somewhere in Time in 1980, Malcolm X in 1992, The Insider in 1999, A Beautiful Mind in 2001, The New World in 2005, Syriana in 2005, Inside Man in 2006, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo in 2011, and Knives Out in 2019. Christopher Plummer was married 3 times. His first marriage was to actress Tammy Grimes in 1956. The marriage lasted 4 years and produced a daughter actress, Amanda Plummer. His second marriage was to British entertainment journalist Patricia Lewis. Before their marriage, they were involved in a serious car accident outside Buckingham Palace after leaving the establishment club in Soho, owned by comedian Peter Cook. While Plummer was unharmed, Lewis was in a coma for several weeks. They married on May 4, 1962, after her recovery, but divorced in 1967. 3 years after his second divorce, Plummer married actress Elaine Taylor on October 2, 1970. They resided in Weston, Connecticut. Plummer had no children with either his second or third wife. Plummer's memoir, In Spite of Myself, was released by Alfred A. Knopf in November 2008. He was a patron of Theatre Museum Canada and a member of the Players Social Club in New York City. Christopher Plummer passed away at his home in Weston on February 5, 2021, at the age of 91. According to his wife, Elaine Taylor, his death occurred 2.5 weeks after. He suffered a fall that resulted in a head injury. The family issued a statement saying that Plummer died peacefully, with Taylor by his side. After his death was announced, Julie Andrews, his co-star from The Sound of Music, paid tribute. The world has lost a consummate actor today, and I have lost a cherished friend. I treasure the memories of our work together, and all the humor and fun we shared through the years. Recent revelations say that Christopher Plummer didn't like The Sound of Music. So, what were Christopher's true feelings about The Sound of Music that might shock you? Keep watching to find out why Christopher Plummer didn't like The Sound of Music. Despite the widespread acclaim for his portrayal of Captain Von Trapp in The Sound of Music, Christopher Plummer's personal feelings toward both the character and the film were far less enthusiastic. Although the movie became a beloved classic, Plummer often expressed a strong aversion to its tone and content. As early as 1966, the New York Times reported that Plummer had jokingly referred to the film as The Sound of Mucus, a nickname he used multiple times to convey his distaste. In a 2010 interview with the Boston Globe, Plummer admitted he found the role of Captain Von Trapp uninspiring, likening his attempts to make the character interesting to flogging a dead horse. He also remarked that the story simply didn't resonate with him, adding that it can't appeal to every person in the world. His criticism of the film became sharper over the years. By 2011, he openly described The Sound of Music as awful, sentimental, and gooey, lamenting how difficult it was to bring any nuance or humor to a script he considered overly saccharine. Despite these opinions, Plummer's performance earned him admiration from audiences worldwide, and over time he softened his stance, slightly, acknowledging the film's lasting impact and cultural legacy. Still, his candid remarks highlighted the contrast between public perception and personal experience, revealing how even the most iconic roles can feel creatively unfulfilling to the actors who bring them to life. Now, we know all about Christopher Plummer. Let's also delve into the life and career of the legendary Julie Andrews. Julie Andrews, Life and Career. Julia Elizabeth Wells, known professionally as Julie Andrews, was born on October 1st, 1935, in Walton-on-Thames, Surrey, England. Her mother, Barbara Ward Wells, originally from Chertsey, married Edward Charles Ted Wells, a teacher of metalwork and woodwork, in 1932. However, Julie was conceived during an affair her mother had with a family friend, a fact she only discovered in 1950, and later revealed publicly in her 2008 autobiography. With the onset of World War II, Barbara and Ted Wells separated and later divorced. Both eventually remarried, Barbara to Ted Andrews in 1943 and Ted Wells to Winifred Maud Hyde Burghead, a war widow and former hairdresser at a wartime factory in 1944. During the Blitz, Ted Wells helped evacuate children to Surrey, while Barbara and her new husband, Ted Andrews, entertained troops through the Entertainment's National Service Association, NSA. Julie initially lived with Ted Wells and her brother John in Surrey, but in 1940, Wells sent her to live with Barbara and her new husband, believing they could better support her budding artistic talents. Though Julie had referred to her stepfather as Uncle Ted, her mother suggested she start calling him Pop, while continuing to call her biological father Dad or Daddy, a change Julie did not like. The Andrews family lived in poverty during the war. In a slum area of London, Julie later described that period as one of the darkest in her life. According to her, her stepfather was an alcoholic and physically abusive, on 2 occasions attempting to enter her bed while intoxicated. To protect herself, Julie installed a lock on her bedroom door. As Barbara and Ted Andrews' stage careers progressed, their financial situation improved. They moved to Beckenham and later returned to their hometown of Hersham after the war, settling at the Old Mews in West Grove, a house where Julie's maternal grandmother had once worked as a maid. Ted Andrews financed Julie's education in the performing arts, first enrolling her at the Cone Ripman School, now Tring Park School for the Performing Arts, and later arranging vocal training with renowned concert soprano Madame Lillian Stiles. Allen. Julie credited Stiles Allen as a major influence, saying, She was my third mother. I've got more mothers and fathers than anyone in the world." In her memoir, Julie Andrews, My Star, Pupil Styles, Allen wrote, "The range, accuracy, and tone of Julie's voice amazed me. She had the rare gift of absolute pitch. However, Julie disputed the claim in her 2008 autobiography, home stating, 'Madame was sure I could do Mozart and Rossini, but to be honest, I never was.' She described her voice as very pure white thin. With a 4-octave range, dogs would come from miles around." After attending Cohn Ripman, Julie completed her academic education at Woodbrook School, a local state school in Beckenham. Now, a celebrated actress, singer, and author, Julie Andrews has enjoyed a career spanning over 8 decades. Her accolades include an Academy Award, a BAFTA Award, 2 Emmy Awards, 3 Grammy Awards, and 6 Golden Globe Awards. She has also received 3 Tony Award nominations. As one of the top box office stars of the 1960s, she was honored with the Kennedy Center Honors in 2001, the Screen Actors Guild Life Achievement Award in 2007, and the AFI Life Achievement Award in 2022. In 2000, Queen Elizabeth II appointed her a Dame DBE. Andrews made her West End debut in 1948, and her Broadway debut in The Boyfriend in 1954. Dubbed Britain's youngest prima donna, she rose to fame with lead roles in My Fair Lady, 1956, as Eliza Doolittle, and Camelot, 1960, as Queen Guinevere. She also starred in the televised Rodgers and Hammerstein musical, Cinderella, 1957. Her film debut came as the titular character in Walt Disney's Mary Poppins, 1964, for which she won the Academy Award for Best Actress. She followed it with her iconic role as Maria von Trapp in The Sound of Music, 1965, earning a Golden Globe Award. Throughout her career, she collaborated with directors like Blake Edwards, her husband George Roy Hill, and Alfred Hitchcock. Her film credits include The Americanization of Emily, 1964, Hawaii, 1966, Torn Curtain, 1966, Thoroughly Modern Millie, 1967, Star, 1968, The Tamarine Seed, 1974, 10, 1979, SOB, 1981, Victor Victoria, 1982, That's Life, 1986, and Duet for One, 1986. Andrews returned to cinema in the 2000s with roles in The Princess Diaries, 2001, The Princess Diaries The Suit, Royal Engagement, 2004, and the TV movies Eloise at the Plaza and Eloise at Christmas Time, 2003. She voiced Queen Lillian in the Shrek franchise, 2001-2010, and Marlena Gru's mother in the Despicable Me films, 2010-present. She is also known for her collaborations with Carol Burnett in televised specials such as Julie and Carol at Carnegie Hall, 1962, Julie and Carol at Lincoln Center, 1971, and Julie and Carol Together, again, 1989. Her own variety show, The Julie Andrews Hour, 1973. Bunny won the Emmy Award for Outstanding Variety Musical Series. More recently, Andrews co-created and hosted Julie's Green Room in 2017 and has voiced Lady Whistledown in Netflix's hit series Bridgerton 2020-present. She has co-authored numerous children's books with her daughter and has written 2 memoirs, Home, a Memoir of My Early Years, 2008, and Homework, a Memoir of My Hollywood Years, 2019. So, what was Julie Andrews and Christopher Plummer's relationship like? And what did Plummer admit to? Stay tuned as we unveil these details. Christopher Plummer admits why he couldn't stand Julie Andrews. Despite the widespread success and praise for The Sound of Music, the set experienced its share of tensions, with Christopher Plummer's attitude toward Julie Andrews being a notable example. While most cast and crew members viewed Andrews as warm, gracious, and angelic, Plummer initially found her demeanor difficult to handle. She openly admitted that her constant kindness and gentle nature irritated him humorously, comparing it to being hit over the head with a Valentine's Day card every day. His discomfort with Andrews extended to their on-set interactions, where he nicknamed her Miss Disney, a subtle, somewhat sarcastic reference to her role in Mary Poppins, and, perhaps, to the squeaky, clean image she brought to the film. Plummer also felt that Andrews' rapport with the child actors highlighted their different temperaments. However, with time and reflection, Plummer came to recognize his early impressions as immature. He later praised Andrews as not only a gifted actress, but also as an incredibly disciplined and supportive co-star. Their mutual respect grew, and what began as professional friction transformed into a deep and lasting friendship. The two remained close for decades, often speaking fondly of one another in interviews and public appearances, exemplifying how working relationships can evolve into meaningful personal bonds. What do you think about Christopher Plummer and Julie Andrews' bittersweet relationship? Let us know in the comments section below. Thank you for watching this video. We hope you found it interesting. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Click the next video shown on your screen to catch up on your favorite celebrity stories.